He is the second hip-hop artist ever to be inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, the idol maker, a.k.a. Don Chi-Chi, Atlanta's very own Jermaine Dupri. Welcome. All right.
Oh, I forgot.
You good?
Check, yeah.
All right, Jermaine, before we start this interview, I just have a question. You've worked with a lot of artists. You ever worked with an Indian rapper before?
No.
Never?
No.
What if I told you I got bars?
Oh.
And
This is
I mean,
Atlanta.
we gotta. After the
Everybody in
show,
Atlanta has bars.
I'm serious. This is insane though, but
Okay.
no, seriously. First of all, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate your time. Also, I want to thank Melinda for help coordinating this. She flew out from Orlando. Everybody in this room knows who you are, and if you're like me, I grew up watching your career evolve. Right? Can you tell us a little bit about what your life like was before music? We know you're from Atlanta, but what part of Atlanta did you grow up in, and what was life like before you got introduced to the music scene?
Well, I wasn't no life before I got, the music. I was introduced to music when I was 3. I got my first drum set when I was 3 years old. And from 3 to 12, I ain't like music. I just was like, I want to play football and I want to do what the regular kids want to do. So I was trying to do sports, but my height wasn't right.
Me and you same.
Yeah. My height still ain't right?
I feel you though.
So I wanted to play sports. I started playing football, and then around that time, I guess that's when hip hop was really starting to take control of kids, and I was one of the people that it got a hold of. And once it got a hold of me, then I started dancing, and just paying attention to everything about the culture of hip hop. And the dancing just led to me just falling in love with music again.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sure you probably worked with a lot of artists, but the one that first popped was Crisscross. And I think, was it 8 million? How many albums?
8 million.
8 million to date.
Yeah.
Okay. At that point, you started So Def, right?
Yeah, but I started So Def prior to Crisscross. I had a group called Silk Times Leather that I put out when I was 17 or 16. Yeah. So I was a group, these girls that I wrote and produced their whole album when I was 16 years old. And I got them signed to Warner Brothers Geffen Records. And that's actually the first project that was a So Def project. So that's where the entrepreneurial thing comes from. Like I started before Crisscross, it was just like, and I was 16, so at 16, if you make $10,000, you successful. That's all. I made $10,000. I was happy as hell. I didn't care about no charts. I didn't care about you want this stuff, but ultimately, if you get a little, they sold about 500 to 1,000 records or something like that. Maybe they might have sold more.
Yeah.
But I know that check for me was like $10,000.
That's still a lot, though.
And all I did with that check was go buy equipment that I didn't have to make their record in the first place. And I just put that into it and just, try to flip it and try to make more music.
Everybody, actually, this building is full of entrepreneurs, right? And a lot of people in here are actually starting out, building their companies. Did you need funding to start So Def, or how I want you to explain, what your thoughts are on how to scale a company and just take it from an idea to scaling and just kind of getting it to a successful stage.
I mean, I'm sure I needed funding, but I didn't, we didn't have this type of situation when I was, I guess, I don't know, I couldn't go if I was, I was too young. So my mindset at 14 was just like, I used to tell producers what I heard and what I thought they should do. And I had a partner named Chad Elliott, who in 80, 83, 84, 85, he and I formed a group called Chad and Jermaine. It was actually like the first crisscross. But we formed this group, and he was from New York, so he actually taught me a lot of things about production. He taught me about break beats. He just started showing me a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And when he started showing me this stuff, I started like just listening to records and paying attention to things. And then I was like, well, if we make a record, we should rap over this, and we should do this. And this was these was ideas that I had to sample records. And I was taking these records to these guys that were supposed to be my producers, and they was like, well, we could just replay it. We don't sample music. Like, they was real musicians, so they wasn't really like up on, they weren't even thinking about sampling. They knew it was coming to life, but they wasn't really, this was prior to people actually really sampling records. And they would make these songs, and when the songs was finished, I was like, it's cool, but this ain't what I wanted. This ain't the sound I wanted. This is not the record that I wanted. We went on and made the records, but it wasn't the record that I wanted. So that's what drove me to saying, I want to be a producer. I'm going to do this myself. I know what I wanted. These guys are saying this, but I didn't have no equipment, by the way. I didn't have any equipment. So when I did a Silk Times Leather record after that, we got a little budget for the record. And I think I put a drum machine on layaway. It was like a 505, a rolling 505. It was like this big. It cost like $295, and I ain't had that money, so I put it on layaway. They had a layaway plan. So I got half of it, and then I came back and got the other half. So the rest of the album, the first part of the album I made all off the top of my head by telling the producer what I wanted. The second half of the album, I made the beats once I got the little money from the record in the 505. But the 505 had these stock sounds that sound like shit to me, like, so I didn't want them sounds. But I just made the beats, like, this what the beat gonna sound like, but this ain't what the beat gonna sound like.
You had it in your head.
You understand what I'm saying? So I would make the beat and I would tell the artist, I'm like, listen, this is what the song gonna sound like, but this ain't what the song gonna sound like. Luckily, they was listening to me. They was like, okay, we don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, okay. So I was telling them, like, when I get to the studio, I'm gonna tell the producer to change these sounds out and make these sounds what I want these sounds to be, but this is how the pattern gonna go, and this is what's gonna happen. So I just spoke to people and talked to people in a way that made them believe me, and they just trusted what I was doing. I definitely needed the funding, but I didn't have it. I just was like, and I made up for what I thought, I wasn't really so pressed to hear what I was looking for in the beginning. My imagination is pretty big, and I was just like, I know what this is gonna sound like once I get to the studio, and that's all I was just like really focused on. So I really only needed the $200.
That got you started.
Yeah.
Did you ever work in corporate America, or did you just
Work?
always did music?
You say work?
Yeah.
Like have a job?
Yeah, have a 9 to 5, ever. Like you never did like a,
No.
nothing.
No.
Okay, that's impressive.
I mean,
right now,
I told myself this too. Like when I was 16, I was like, listen, if you don't hurry up and get your shit together, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to get a job.
Yeah.
I never left my house. I stayed in the room 24 hours a day.
What's during this time you got So Def up and going, you got artists coming in. What's some of the biggest challenges you were having to continue scaling it and progressing forward in the business?
I mean, Criss Cross came out when I was 19. So what I was dealing with was the fact that people weren't used to being told what to do by a 19-year-old. Right. That was like
everybody's older than you.
Everybody's older than me.
Yeah.
I'm talking about super older than me.
Like who's this kid telling me?
Like all of the bosses at any record company was like 50 years old when I was 19.
They're no longer alive right now.
Yeah, so they weren't used to nobody telling them, like because once Criss Cross hit, I really was I'm gonna tell you what I want you to do. Like I'm not listening to you, you know what I mean? It was like, I figured this out. I think I got it. I understand what I want to do.
So you never worked a job. You never had a 9 to 5. You always been in music. You had your own business. At any point, did you ever feel like this is not working? I'm gonna give up. Like you ever had second thoughts of like I might have to get a job? You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
What happened? How'd you persevere through it?
just don't go to sleep and work. Like, I mean, I did that all the time. Like, I was like, because even if it works, you still got to continue to keep going to keep it going. You know what I mean? It's just because it works one time don't mean anything. So, like, I think after Criss Cross came out, then LA and Babyface moved to Atlanta, right? And I was working at LA Reid's studio. And I was popping. I had Criss Cross, it was #1 record. I had money, I was buying cars, I was doing everything. And Babyface was in the studio, and he came out, and I was sitting outside. And he came out, and he was like, yo, what's up? I was like, damn, it's Babyface, what's up? He was like, yeah, you that guy with the little record. And I'm like, little record?
Yeah. Which record? And you're talking about Criss Cross record?
He's talking about Jump, and I'm like, what the fuck he talking about? So I'm thinking like, Babyface, he must not know about me. He tripping. But I mean, it was Babyface. So it's like I only had one record. I just was popping like, I'm thinking it's going. So he was like, yeah, I know who you are. And I'm like, okay, well, why you call my song Little? And he was like, as a producer, songwriter, doing it one time, that's cool. But how many times can you do that?
Right.
And I had never thought about that.
Yeah, consistency.
And then, he left me sitting in that seat. And I sat there for like an hour, trying to figure out, okay, this ain't about me being #1. This ain't about how much money I'm making. This is about how many more times can I do this? And how many more times can I figure out how to do this? And I just started putting my mind to that same space again, like, Jermaine, if you don't do this again, you're going to get a job. So then I started thinking about it. Like, if I was good at a job, where would I work at?
You'd work for another.
And I was like, I'll probably go work at Guitar Center. It was a Rhythm City then, that's what it's called. I'll go work at Guitar Center because I know about drum machines. I could sell all the shit to everybody to come in there. Like, yo, you should, you know what I mean? I definitely thought about it a bunch of times.
So this is your first time here, Atlanta Tech Village?
Yeah.
So this is the 4th biggest tech hub in the U.S. Hundreds of startups, 1,000+ entrepreneurs. You have a company called Global14.com. You're a big advocate in technology as well. I mean, even years ago, you and Kasim Reed, I saw the startup rally. You're pushing Atlanta to be one of the biggest tech hubs. Tell us about Global 14. What is it? How did you even come up with the idea, the whole story?
I mean, well, Global 14 started because I started this vlog that I didn't even know that people weren't even doing vlogs when I did it. It was called Living the Life. I don't know how many people watch my Living the Life vlog. But, I didn't even know what I was doing. I just was filming my life because I felt like it was crazy for y'all to see it. But ultimately, I created this world called lifers, and the people that's screaming, that's who they are. They became lifers that was living life vicariously through me. So if I was in Dubai, or the fact that I'm a vegan, or all the stuff that shout out to all the vegans out there. The fact that I was just living my life the way that I was living my life, I would call these people lifers. And then I started realizing that these people were constantly coming back to YouTube looking for these videos and looking for this content. So then I was just like, I could create my own social network. Shit, I got the people right here. I'm not looking for nobody. I got the people that I call my lifers. This would just be a home for them. Because that's what I thought Twitter was. By the way, I thought Twitter was something completely different than what it was. So when I started my Twitter, I didn't even use my name. I called it the LTL line. And people didn't know, if you didn't know anything about living a life, you didn't even know that was Jermaine Dupri. But I wasn't even focused on you following Jermaine Dupri. I was trying to find a home for all of these people that I saw on YouTube. Right. I seen the people on YouTube actually commenting under all of my videos, talking about like, yo, if I go to Dubai, it was lifers in Dubai, right? And there's people like, yo, when you come over here, I'm a lifer. I need to meet you. If I went wherever I was going, if I was going snowboarding, there was people that was like black kids talking about, yo, I'm coming snowboard. You know how awkward that is?
If you went to Dubai and you sent that message out, people would know that you're here and you engage with them, meet up? What?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I was doing all of this on YouTube. I was actually using this. So I would look at YouTube comments, and I was like, okay, I had this, a crew called Ocean's 7, or Ocean's 11, basically. And it was me, Usher, Trey Songz, Jonte Austin, Brian Michael Cox, Nelly, my assistant at the time, and we had this whole little thing going, and people was just following how wild we was doing. Like we'd just do crazy wild stuff, and then we'd have this conversation about things that people was talking about, and the comments was just like comments and comments and comments. So then I started hearing more about in tech. The key to tech and anything about this is how much engagement can you get. I had all the engagement in the world right there without me asking for anything.
Right.
So then I was just like, I'm gonna create my own social network. And then, I started telling people, and they was like, oh, what you think, you black Mark Zuckerberg? And I'm like, it ain't got nothing to do with that. You don't even understand what I'm saying, right? And it was just like the same thing that I went through when I was young and making music. It was like people didn't understand where I was coming from when I said I was gonna do it. And I'm like, all you gotta do is create the same type of platform that YouTube had, which is very simple. It's just like, let somebody be able to comment. Because at the time when I did this, you couldn't reply to people's comments on YouTube. They weren't even that far yet. It was just like a comment would come, and if you remember the person's name, you have to go down and try to do it again. You couldn't just click reply right there. They didn't even have that yet.
Right.
So this was pre everything that you see on YouTube right now. So I was like, listen, we're gonna create this. And I don't even know how I found the guy that actually helped me build Global 14.
The website?
Yeah, I'm talking about to this day, I don't know how I found him.
But you hired him.
Yeah, I hired him. But I was actually really just like out here talking about Global 14 and telling people and all of this. And this guy just came into my life, and he was just like, I can do it. And I'm like, what? And he was like, I can make the site. And I never seen the dude before. We was just talking, phone. I got his number off the internet. I mean, he got his number from the internet.
Right.
We started talking, and he started doing stuff and started sending it to me. And then we still never saw each other. And I'm thinking, this is some weird shit, right? I'm like,
You paid him?
okay. So we continue to keep going. And then he got it to a point where I was like, all right, let me check it out. And he sent me a demo, and I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what I want, right? And it was just like, right then and there, it was built.
Nice. So
No money.
he did it for free.
I mean, yeah, we just,
Wow.
my ideas and his ideas, and it came to life. And once it started going and we started getting people, then he was like, then we started having to come up with our ideas of how we gonna make some money and do what we gotta do.
How do you, like, going forward in your business, music, like, with all, new technology coming out, new apps coming out, like, what is your thoughts and what do you want to do with technology? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you want to use technology platform to evolve your career going forward?
I mean, I think technology is amazing because it brings so many different people together.
Yeah.
I'm actually pleased to see all the people of color in this room today interested in tech. I mean, I applaud all of y'all for this to be I applaud this to be my city and it looked like this, because I was in San Francisco doing this and it wasn't real. I was the only person in there. And I was having conversations with people about trying to get more of you guys in this room. That was the conversation about me being there. So to see this, I'm really, like I said, I'm really pleased. But I just feel like it's just a connecting piece. You know what I mean? It's definitely, the internet has brought us to a place where if you're talking to somebody, you can, if they're not talking about what you want to talk about, you ain't got to talk to them no more.
Absolutely.
It's just that quick. It's just that quick. And if you want to talk to somebody and you're talking about what that person wants to hear, then they'll keep you in their life forever. So and I love that's the part I love about it. It's like real cut and dry.
Last year, I had the opportunity to meet Damon John, and he told me how he fought stage 2 cancer, right? And every year, last week of December, I'm getting ready for my New Year's resolution, trying to get fit, lasts like 4 weeks. So I was watching this documentary on Netflix, Health is Wealth. You're in it. And I found out, that's the first time I actually found out you were vegan. He said to me, entrepreneurs are the most unhealthiest people on the planet. They work 12, 15 hours a day, they eat anything, they don't sleep. There's no structure. What was your transition? What made you go vegan? And, the benefits of it, and what's your thoughts on it?
All right, just to rewind, one of the questions you asked me where I was from. I'm from College Park, for anybody that don't know that, right? Right off Old National Highway. So, so at 19, from 19 to 29, I ate Waffle House and McDonald's every day. Guaranteed. Waffle House guaranteed every day. Let's go, yeah. Because once I became, I couldn't go to strip clubs. So once I started going to strip clubs at like 21, after the strip club every night, Waffle House.
Waffle House, yeah.
Guaranteed. Then it's back to the studio. Yeah. So it's like, you eat this Waffle House, you go to the studio and you sit in a chair and you make records. You're not going to dance, you're just sitting there like, yeah, that's cool. And you don't even, you do that the next day, you're like, yeah, that's cool. You realize the chest start moving a different way. Like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you working long. Like, these are the days when I wasn't going to sleep at all. You know what I mean? At least I get 2-3 hours now, but it was like, before I wasn't going to sleep at all. I would stay up till like 9 in the morning and have a meeting at 10 o'clock and just keep it going. And go back to the studio and then go back to Waffle House and then do the same shit over and over again. And then you just start really feeling it. Like I start going on the road, I get off a plane and I'd be so slumped over and so tired. And it was like, because you eat that food, you get sleepier.
Yeah.
By the way, it does this to you. I'm not trying to make everybody in here vegan, but I'm just trying to let y'all know that if you start moving around, the food is heavy. It does something to your body. So as I started getting older, I was just like, I got to do something, right? And I ain't really love working out. Yeah. I ain't love working out. It's cool, but I don't love it, right? Yeah. So I was just like, what can I do? So I went on a fast where I ain't eat for 25 days.
But you eat
no
something.
food, no food.
Water.
Yeah, yeah. And once I got to the end of the fast, the way I felt, I was like, oh, this is how I want to feel. I was waking up early, calling people. People was like, oh, shit, JD's up. What's going on? I'm like, yeah, this is what I should have been doing a long time ago. So my energy level was higher. My mind just felt different. So I was just like, how can I stay like this? And the closest thing for me to stay to not eating was becoming a vegan.
How long you been a vegan?
12 years.
So you hadn't had Chick-fil-A in 12 years?
No.
Oh, my God. But
I don't miss it.
You've tried it, though, before.
Yeah, I tried.
Okay.
I don't see what everybody is waiting in line for, but I'm sorry.
You got to try that chicken. Let's talk about the grind, right? Your industry in general, this is not a 9-to-5 job. You can't go 8 hours and then, be successful. Can you, any point in your career, can you just break down, what your schedule was when you were, really in it? How many hours a day were you working, trying to, hustle and making it?
You say that like I sleep now.
I mean, no, I'm just saying, pick a point.
I don't sleep now. It's the same thing. I mean, it never stops. That's what I'm saying. Like I said, when I go back to the babyface conversation, from that day forth, I just never stop thinking about everything that has to happen in my life.
What's your schedule like on a daily basis?
I mean, it depends on exactly what's going on. When we filming this TV show, the rap game we film every day, no days off for 3 months straight, right? And you start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then it just varies of how it ends. And then, then it's the conversations that you got to have in between that. Then you go back to the studio and you work in the studio, and and then you start right back over again.
Okay.
And by that, when you get to this, by the time you get to the studio, everything in Atlanta's closed by 9 o'clock anyway to eat. So you fucked if you got to go to Waffle House, right?
Do you remember a specific year in your career where man, this was probably one of the hardest years ever? Like a time frame?
Yeah, I would say I left. I had got really, really cocky, and I left Columbia Records. I didn't get cocky, but I felt like they was acting crazy, right? And I decided to leave. And me leaving, there was a period where I had to leave some of my artists, which was Jagged Edge. I didn't want to leave them. And I think Bow Wow had to stay there, right? And everything else was leaving. But that period of time, it was like a departure of me having to leave everything that I had started and what I had going on and what I had built, and to move And then at that point, you got people looking at you like, okay, this the end. You can't do this shit again. You did it. You had your run. You did what you had to do. I had been at Columbia for 10 years.
Right.
So it was like my move from Columbia to Arista. And LA made me the vice president of Arista Records. And, at that point, it was like, what am I going to do? I just put myself back in that same position again. Like, I got to find some artists. I got to figure it out. And I got to continue to try to keep what I had alive over here, keep it alive. So the work at that particular point was just like it was over top of what I had been doing because I was trying so hard to try to figure it out. And I knew that I ain't had that long. Like when you start something and people looking at you, the clock for it to diminish is faster than ever. They quick to say, oh yeah, it's over, I told you.
Were you vegan at that time?
Huh?
Were you vegan at that time?
No, I wasn't vegan at that time.
So Waffle House.
Yeah, I was eating everything.
Just to get to know you a little bit, if you weren't in the music business, what else would you be doing?
I'd probably be a graffiti artist.
You practice a little bit, or?
Yeah. I mean, I started out, I did this at one point. I mean, I like art, a lot. So I would be a graffiti artist that probably turned into somebody that, try to do something else that's more artistic. But I definitely was like the kid out here looking at Marta like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get me one of them trains. I'm gonna get one. Because I never knew nobody in Atlanta that had hit the MARTA train.
Right.
And really had hit over the MARTA.
No, I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah, I was gonna get their ass. Yeah.
Who's three people that inspire you?
Teddy Riley, Quincy Jones, and Barry Gordy.
If you were the last man on earth, and you had only one album to listen to for the rest of your life, what is that album?
Michael Jackson, Off the Wall.
Can you give me a second one?
A second one?
Yeah.
The Chronic, Dr. Dre.
Woo. Favorite restaurant before and after vegan?
Where? Here in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
Oh, shit.
Don't say Waffle House.
Before I became a vegan, Chops over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now that I'm a vegan, that's not a vegan restaurant. I got it's a couple, but
Yeah.
I like, I go to this place called Green Sprout. That's a Chinese restaurant. They got, a vegan Chinese restaurant. They got probably more options for me. And it's another place that, Cafe Sunflower.
You ever heard of Harmony?
Huh?
Harmony?
Yeah, I went there. Yeah, I go there.
I actually ran into Andre 3000 there.
Yeah.
He's vegan too.
Not no more.
No?
Yeah.
He converted.
Yeah. He told me he had to have a piece of steak the other day.
Question. The So Def billboard. You ever thought of bringing it back?
Huh?
The So Def billboard?
Yeah.
Because, every time I come into the city, get off the airport, coming into the city, I see the landmark. You ever thought about bringing it back?
Where the guy with the money at? He over there? I can't really see because the light line. I need you if you want to put that billboard back up. That billboard cost me $10,000 a month for 10 years straight. Y'all do the math.
Okay. So. What's your favorite beat you made of all time?
You hear them, they still talking about that number back there.
Yeah, they're murmuring. Your favorite beat you made all time, you produced?
I don't know.
Any?
I don't know. I don't know.
2 or 3 stands out.
I mean, it's this beat that I made that people don't know that I made, that people don't give me credit for making, but it's like the sound of Houston, and it's a record off Crisscross Young, Rich and Dangerous album. Cause niggas in the streets ain't right, and the beat, I made the beat, and then I think DJ Screw took the beat, and he took the instrumental and like put all of these local rappers on top of the record. And now it's like a Houston thing for people to rap over this beat, and people out there don't even know I made the beat. And I'm like, damn, I made a beat that's like his hip hop history. Like that beat made me feel really crazy because I was just like, I wasn't looking for that to happen. And that ain't even like, it's not like a hit. It's just like it's so cultural. It's in their blood in Houston.
What's the name of it?
It's called Niggas in the Streets Ain't Right.
Words of wisdom.
Oh, God.
Words of wisdom.
He asked twice, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to beat on my Spotify. All right, you've been in the industry. Well, this marks the 25th anniversary of So Def.
Yeah.
You've learned a lot.
Thank you.
What is your best or greatest piece of advice you can give to aspiring entrepreneurs?
Focus. You know what I mean? Just focus. I mean, I had a lot of things for all of y'all young producers out there that y'all don't got to even deal with half of the shit I had to deal with. When I came from Atlanta, it wasn't cool to be from this place. You know what I mean? And wasn't nobody trying to pay no attention to nobody that was from Atlanta. If you weren't from LA or New York, they weren't trying to pay no attention to you. And if I could have lost focus a lot of times, but my focus was definitely to stay here and be like, listen, I'm from Atlanta. I don't give a fuck what y'all talking about. Atlanta got something to say, like Andre said. And it was like, you know, it was hard. You know, it was definitely hard. It was like I go to DJs in New York and they'll be like, y'all too country. You know, it's not. That ain't the thing, right? You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, I kept seeing what NWA was doing in Compton and what like other people was doing in New York, and I'm just like, how is it cool for them to be where they from, but nobody really representing like that in these parts? Yeah. So I saw it as a lane, and then I made that become my whole motto with my company. Like, I'm gonna jump in my own lane and do what I gotta do. You know what I mean? That's how I got to the rap game now, because when, you know, people continue to keep saying Jermaine Dupri is the guy that made kids stars, right? That's not true. I only had Crisscross. And then 10 years after Crisscross, I had Bow Wow. Then after Bow Wow, that was it, right? Everybody else was older. But everybody continues to keep thinking it was a whole slew of kid artists that I had at So Def, but I didn't. It was all just, we just was young. Everybody was young. The Brat was 19, Jagged Edge was, you know, they was young, Escape was young, but nobody was like 11 and 12 like these two artists. But with that being said, what I decided to do was just like, listen, I must have carved out my own lane. So I made it, I'm gonna just lay in it, right? So when the rap game came about, it was just like, do I really wanna go down this lane? And I thought about it myself, and I'm like, who else gonna have this show? Ain't nobody else put up the numbers that I put up for child art, you know, kid artists. So I just took it and was like, ran with it, you know what I mean? And that's the same mindset that I had with trying to form Atlanta. You know, when I made Welcome to Atlanta, I was like, I want this song to be the Frank Sinatra record, just like they got in New York. Yeah. I ain't care if the song hit the charts or not. Like that, I just wanted people in Atlanta to be proud about that song when they heard it.
That's our anthem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last question, and then we'll get into Q&A. What type of legacy do you want to leave behind, and how do you want people to remember you as?
I don't know. You got to ask me in 10 years. I'm on the grind right now.
Great answer. Ladies and gentlemen, Jermaine Dupri. Thank you, Jermaine. Anybody have questions? Okay.
Oh, and I said, I know people was asking me about my, you know, if you want to give me your information or send me something, log on to global14.com. That's my site. I'm going to see you. You say what you got to say to me, I will see you. It's active. I'm active. That's how I go.
All right, we got a question over here?
I know people got questions, though. Stand up.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Daniel. I'm here on behalf of the in-house company. I'm a Spelman student, and we are breaking into entrepreneurship as young women. And one thing I always love to ask anybody that has done anything great, if you could do it all over again, what is one thing you would do differently? Or one thing, if you could avoid it, you would tell somebody?
I don't know if I would do anything different. I would just, I would probably, I might go harder than I went. And that might sound crazy to some of y'all, but I could have, because I look at a lot of different things that other people did, and I still don't feel like I've achieved that, right? Like when I went to Motown, or I went to Detroit, I went to the Motown house, and they got this billboard, they got this thing out front that tells you exactly what Berry Gordy did to actually create Motown. And he went to the bank, and he got $800. $800. And he created Motown, right? I had way more money than he did, and I don't feel like people look at my company like Motown. And I don't feel like people treat my company like Motown. So when I see shit like that, and I'm like, I had way more money than him, and he did way more with less. It's so much more I could do. You know what I mean? So I be thinking about how much more stuff can I do and how much more energy can I put into this. So if I had to change anything, I would have just cranked that engine up a little bit more.
What's up with you, man? How you doing, man? I'm over here. So,
Oh, okay, I can see that. Like, killing you.
You got that.
what's good with you? Yeah, man, they got this bright. Excuse me. So, look, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a radio show personality, internet radio show personality or whatnot. I'm a poet, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a rapper, I'm an artist, I'm a poet. But what foundation did you build your career on as being a black man? You know what I'm saying? Because coming from where I'm from Detroit, I'm from the Motown. You know what I'm saying? Born and raised. You feel me? I came to Atlanta because, this the city of dreams right now. But where did your foundation come from? Like, what was your real motivation behind all this? Because I'm listening to your story, and I'm listening to your background, and I'm listening to what you presenting to us and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to find some motivation in that too, because you a god in the game. You know what I'm saying? Right now, that's where you are. You talking about your record label not as big as Motown or whatnot, but you so deaf. You are a god in the game, and that's real shit. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to, you know what I'm saying, get where you coming from, talking about like, you're not as big as these people, because you bigger. You doing this. You got the rap game. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, I just did 5 years. You know what I'm saying? I've been home 6 months. I just did 5 years. I'm a radio show host. I'm a poet. I do tattoo. I'm doing all this. You feel me? So how can you say that you're not as big as Motown? You know what I'm saying? When I'm sitting in prison watching your show.
Appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? So what was your motivation behind it? What guided you to this point? And what got you to this point of success? I need to know your secret. I'm just being real with you, man. I'm just being real with you. I need to know your secret.
I'm gonna tell you like this. One thing that I notice about older people is that y'all be acting like y'all too cool for school, right? And I'm saying this in my younger person body, because when I was 19, I wasn't too cool for nothing. You know what I mean? I'd go to the studio when Dallas was working on ABC and Boys the Men and all that shit, and just sit in the corner and watch him do what he doing and get motivated, because he had a bigger deal than me. He was doing more records than I was at that particular point in time. All I had was Crisscross. TLC was my group before they got with him, but he was working on TLC, Another Bad Creation, and Boys the Men at the same damn time in the studio. So I would just go, and be his, just be around. And I never had a beef with nobody. You know what I'm saying? I never was a separated person. Like Organized Noise, the first record that they ever did, and the first person that ever gave them a check was me. They did Tonight on Escape's first album. So all of these people that's in the city, I was hanging out with all of them, just being inspired by what they was doing. And that's to me, that's the key to, at least getting somewhere. You know what I'm saying? You gotta put yourself around the fire to be the fire. You know what I mean? And you ain't gotta have a job to be around the fire. You just gotta be around it. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to be around what I thought was getting ready to be something. So I would go, and people tell me something happening, I'd go. Now I be hearing motherfuckers say, man, I ain't going to this spot if I ain't getting paid. I ain't doing this and I ain't doing that. Man, I don't know nothing about that. You know what I mean? Like, for real, I ain't know nothing about it. I ain't had no car. I could call somebody, get a ride. I don't care about that. I was just trying to get to where I had to get to because I wanted to be around what I wanted to be around. So that's my motivation.
Hello? How you doing today? So my question is, when you first began, did you initially understand the impact that So Deaf would have on Atlanta's culture, especially old Atlanta?
No. I mean, you know, like he just said, I'm telling y'all, I'm not sitting here trying to make up a story. I don't feel like, you know, I don't know if anybody watched my story. I had a conversation with Teddy Riley the other day, right? And Teddy Riley is my idol. Like, he's the person that actually got me to really say, this is what I'm gonna stay a producer. I don't want to do nothing else because he's having a ball. He's killing it. He's doing his thing. So I seen a message that Teddy Riley put up on his thing saying that if you don't make it to the Essence Fest and see God perform, you missing out. So I took my shot to hit him, and I said, yo, Ted, you my idol, man. I got to be at the Essence Fest. Can you put me on your guest list? And he hit me back like, don't call me your idol. I'm your brother, and if you keep talking about this idol shit, no, you can't have no pass. And I'm like, I'm laughing about it, but I don't really think people understand that. Like, that dude touched my career in a whole different way than, just me. You know, I still be sitting around listening to Teddy Riley records saying, what the fuck was he doing that I can't do? Like, my records don't sound like that to me. So when you say that, what's my impact? I don't know what that, I ain't really pay no attention to it. I just been trying to get to this spot. And I guess me continuing to keep trying to get to that spot, that's my motivation to keep trying. Y'all keep telling me what y'all think it is, but I'm gonna keep telling you what I'm trying to do. I don't believe that it's at that space. So, I don't know what that impact was. I just knew what I wanted to do. And I knew that I had been told by Babyface that you can do it. If you can't do it more than one time, then you don't mean shit. So I was like, shit, I got the 3 times. I'm going to see this dude again. I got the 4 times. Brat went #1. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to see him in a minute. I'm like, shit, I'm going to do this again. I was just trying to keep doing it. You know what I mean? That's the whole goal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we kind of touched on this. Sorry. You kind of touched on this a little bit, and we all have our own motivations in here, everybody that's trying to do their own thing. And it seems from when you first started, you didn't want the traditional job, and you maybe started your movement, your project out of a fear of not wanting to go after that, and eventually it changed to desire, and now it seems like there's maybe even a lack of satisfaction. I feel like you could do more. That catalyst, how has it changed from and grown over the years, and where do you see yourself, like you said, ask 10 years from now? You know, what is that constant motivation that you can maybe help us all understand a little deeper so that we can find it ourselves?
Oh, you asked, what are you, 3 questions? What was the last question?
You want to repeat it?
What was the last question?
Yeah, what is that motivation, and how can you maybe show us how to find it ourselves to make it where we're, you're talking about only sleeping 2 or 3 hours for, months at a time potentially, and that extra drive. So what was that catalyst that really kept you just going when most people would say, I got to take a break?
I think like when I say that, I'm not exaggerating. I got a haircut this morning, and the barber was like, yo, JD, I'm from, where he's from? Yeah, I think he's from Detroit, too. He was like, I'm from Detroit. What was Atlanta like in the 80s? And I'm like, y'all think I'm old as hell? Or like, I don't know. I'm saying, like, I don't know what Atlanta was like in the 80s. I know what I was doing. I was young, right? And he didn't really think that. He was thinking that he thought I was like 19 in the 80s. I'm like, nah, hell nah. How old you think I am, right? But my point is that when I say I stayed in my room for 24 hours, this is real shit, because I was a teenager. I ain't had nothing else to do. I ain't had no bills. I ain't had no kids. I ain't give a fuck about girls. I ain't care about nothing. I was just in my room. I got that money to get this equipment, and I just stayed on this equipment. You know what I mean? Like, to the point that if I was, like, I be thinking, like, crazy shit, right? Like, I be thinking, like, if I was to go blind, could I work my drum machine? Like, I know the MPC so backwards and forwards that I just close my eyes and just be making beats, and I don't have to see shit. That's how much I, like, have programmed myself to be working on my equipment, right? And this is hours. This is hours and hours and hours and hours of time. Like, with going through the technology of, like, it's storming outside and the technology in the drum machine ain't where, like, if it cut off, it just bringing your shit back. The storm outside, the shit just zap your whole shit away. You have a whole song you've been making for like 5 hours, and then the storm, boom. You like, oh shit. And you gotta start all the way over. The sampling sounds and doing all of this. You don't know how long, you'll be in the room for 15 hours before you even know it, right? I was doing this every day. Only way I stepped out was to get that Waffle House, but then it was go back in. But for real, it was just like, I just stayed in the room. I just knew that practice, you know what I mean? Practicing on your craft was something that you had to really, really do. And I got that from, like, becoming a DJ, because I started DJing first. And if you want to be a really, really good DJ in the 90s, you have guys that was really, like, DJing, and they was really, like, showing you tricks and taking their shirt off and all kind of extra spinning around and shit. You can't just be talking about this. You got to know how to do it. You know what I mean? And it's the same for breaking and anything else. You want to spin on your head and then go to a flare and go to a windmill and all of this. These combinations you're not going to get just sitting in a chair. You have to sit and practice this shit all day long. So my whole growing up, once I had Crisscross, it was just constant practice. Because people coming to the studio and telling me, let's go to the club, none of that was happening. I couldn't get in no club. So the club activity and all that I don't know nothing about that. I became a video game junkie, right? That was my only getaway. It was like to play video games and go back to the studio. That's it. And that's as much as I had. So with that being said, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you I was really spending this time. And I think that's why I said, like, when you older, because I know this now, and I'm in the studio now, if I'm getting in the groove of working, it'll be a whole bunch of people come to the studio, Nelly, this person and all that, and they be like, yo, let's go to the club. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck. Right? Because I'm there, I'm ready to do what I gotta do, but I'm older now, and that's what we do. We start going to the club and do what we gotta do, all of this shit. I really wish that wasn't even happening in my life. I could stay in the house and just do all of this music all the time and do everything I gotta do. That's the person that I actually am.
Oh, yeah. Hey, vegan gang in the building, man. Shout out to the great Dr. Sebi. I know you're familiar with Dr. Sebi. But my question to you is, I know you're a producer that's, big on, connecting, building with an artist, really popping an artist. In the current landscape, 2018, if you're a producer, linking up with an artist, any budget that does become available, let's talk, 10,000 and less, like where are you allocating that budget, as far as, trying to pop an artist?
You said, what did you say?
Allocating your money. Like if we had 10,000, you want to repeat that?
I said, so you're a producer, you're connecting with an artist, you got no real connections, you're an up and coming producer in 2018. The current landscape, where are you allocating any sort of budget, like 10,000 and less? Where are you spending that as far as marketing and really trying to, build your audience?
Depends on what the song is. You know what I mean? I think that's what, depends on what the song is. I have a guy, right, who, well, I don't have him, but it was a guy that I never knew that I would go to the Gentleman's Club every Monday, right? For 10 years straight, I went there every Monday. And he knew I was going to be there. And it became a thing where Jermaine Dupri's going to be there. This guy spent, I don't know, $100 every time he went in the club to make this DJ play his record, right? And, I guess for the first year, 2 years, I never even paid no attention to the song. This song came on every time I came in the club, right? Every time I start partying and doing, I'm doing, this song was played. I'm like, how this song keep, you know what I mean? Once it start, it start, I'm start realizing like, okay, all right. And long story short, the song is called Rules of the Game. It was on my second album. I took the song, once I started realizing, I'm like, yo, this song jamming, I want to put a verse on there. And I just did what I usually do, my remixes. And after I signed the dude, his name Management from Decatur. After I signed him, he came and told me this story. Like, yo, I spent blah, 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 just to get your attention to do this song. So I think it's like, it depends on like what your focus is. But I mean, that's a very focused plan right there, right? He didn't care about anything else. He had a feeling that that song was gonna catch my ear and I was gonna do what I did. That's how I market records all the time. You know what I'm saying? I try to find that space of where we can go, because you ain't gotta really spend that type of money. You just gotta, because if people don't understand this, if you get 10 people to like your record, 10. If you get 10 people to actually say they like a song, then you can get 100 to say they like that song. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta believe in it. You know, I'm gonna tell you another story. I had Anthony Hamilton, right? When I signed Anthony Hamilton, his first show over here at the, what is that, not the Hard Rock, but whatever that is, right? The first show, I think we had 30 people at that shit. 30. And 10 of them was my employees, right? And, you know, people was like, yo, Jermaine, you know, you got Bow Wow, Jagged Edge, and all these young artists, and you try to sign Anthony Hamilton. That ain't, I don't think that really mixed with So Def. I'm not the person that listens to people when I'm trying to push what I'm trying to push. I'm listening to myself, and I understand what I liked about this guy, and I understand what I was into. And them 30 people, I just kept saying, yo, if we can get them 30 people to tell 30 more people how good they feel about Anthony Hamilton, he'll be all right. And I just kept trying to figure out how to do that as much as possible. It wasn't a lot of money involved. It was just, how can we make this person say? You ask that person a question like, yo, do you really like Anthony Hamilton? And they say yes. And then they start telling you how they really like him. You film it, right? And you ask somebody else that. And you film that. You cut that shit together and it looked like, oh, it looked like you're gonna spend a lot of money just to have a little EPK, but you didn't. It's the same, these little people. People start paying attention to that. They start listening to it. 2 months after that 30-person show, he had another show. I couldn't even get tickets for my employees. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a build. You gotta make sure you don't, because everybody out here trying to get everybody in this room to love them. That ain't what it's about. You know what I mean? I only want y'all to love me first, this side. I get all of y'all, we gonna get them. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel. You know what I mean? Because something about y'all liking me gonna make one person over here like me. And then that one person over here is gonna make something about the rest of these people like me. And you just gotta be into the process. A lot of people want this shit too fast. It ain't gonna just go like that. You know what I mean? It's a process.
Nice.
Huh? I can't hear what's that.
Your gut. It's a, do you follow your gut?
Oh yeah, 100%. That's another thing you lose when you have music as loud as I do, so you can't hear as much. My gut is that's all I listen to. Like for real. Like if I like something, I don't pay attention to what nobody says. You know what I mean? Because I don't believe that they feel it the way I feel it, and that's just it.
Is this on? All right. How you doing, JD? First of all, I appreciate you for coming out and sharing this wealth of information with everybody. My name is Jerome Dodd. I'm the CEO of Digital Dance Culture, and we're basically making music move. I have a two-part question for you. The first part is, how did you find the balance between, or what were the ups and downs or the pros and cons of being an independent person versus working with a big company like Columbia? What type of compromises did you have to make in terms of control? And also, our mission is to be a preservatory of indigenous American dance culture. So we have a network around the world of all of the top street dance cultures. What balance do we need to find to be able to operate in the mainstream as well as kind of keep our culture intact so it doesn't get watered down? Thank you.
All right, so the first question I'm thinking is kind of when like I said, you gotta continue to remember that I'm young, right? And I'm not now. I'm talking to you like back then. When I was younger, independent or major don't mean shit to me, right? It's no different. I was talking to somebody else about this, like with the 6ix9ine kid, right? The 6ix9ine kid keeps screaming that he got 5 records on Billboard. He don't give a fuck if it's at 100 or number 1. He just on there. He's happy that it's on Billboard. He don't care what number it is, right? That's what everybody else get caught up in. It's a number 1 record. It's a top 10 record. He just happy the fact that he's on Billboard from where he came from. He went from SoundCloud to being on Billboard. He don't care what number it is. And that's kind of like my mentality. I signed my first artist to Ichiban Records. If anybody in here from Atlanta, they know Ichiban was here, right? Ichiban I had an artist named JV and the Straight Jackets. That was my first actual signing. I thought we was made it. We was on Ichiban. I thought that was it. They had a little fucking record company over here way out in I think in Smyrna somewhere. And we used to go out there and, see this company, and we thought we was on a real record company. So going to Columbia, I didn't really feel the difference because I was young and I wasn't caught up in all of that stuff. I was just paying attention I just wanted to be heard. I just want you to hear me, and I want other people to hear me, and I know that this, I got to get to that spot. So that's that. I don't know how to even actually say in today's process of when you older, how you supposed to think about the independent and not, because it's definitely a harder mentality when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? But if you take the fact out of like it's this company and you just start actually really, really just like promoting the record with no kind of boundaries and just don't hold back and just really promote and try to make sure everybody hears it and do what you got to do. I don't feel like it's anything that it's a difference, because nowadays all the independent artists are the ones that's popping. The major artists, they trying to do what these independents is doing. So I would just say, like, don't pay too much attention to that. Just like, if you got some kind of means to make sure people can hear you, just pay attention to the means, and that's the key. And then your second question, I don't know how, you go about dancing with both. You know what I mean? I don't know how y'all deal with that in dance, but I feel like you do have to give a little bit to get to where you go. And that's something I was saying prior, because the older people don't really understand that. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to give a little bit. Give a little bit. You're not really taking away from yourself. You know what's going to happen in the end. It's almost like what I was saying with the drum machine. You got to almost like put yourself in this position to know, I'm just going through this just for right now. I'm going to get to where I got to get to. I know this ain't what it's supposed to sound like. I know what I want it to sound like. So that's the same mindset I would use with that. Just get your foot in the door. You know what I mean? Don't outwork yourself where you don't even get your foot in the door.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to apologize. We won't get to everybody's question. I also want to respect your time. But you stick around for a little bit before you head out. We got time for one question, and I'm not going to pick who it is.
He had been asking on the front.
All right, go ahead.
First of all, I'm a lifer. I don't remember my Global 14 password, so don't be mad at me. But I seen August 2007 when you opened up Studio 72. Slim brought me through there, and from then on, I've been following the Social Death movement from there. About me, my name is Paul Nixon III. I was the first student athlete to become president of business school at Buffalo University. I got my MBA with these guys right here. We've been talking about instrumentally for about 8 years now. So the first part of my question, I got two-part question. The first part is, what do you look for in terms of engagement? Like, your whole history, you always been at the foresight, seeing people before who they were. Like, you seen Shad Moss before when he was Bow Wow. You seen it. So what do you look for when you're looking for things that catch your eye, that you want to become a part of, that you can see build, and that you can see it grow? And two, specifically for instrumentally, I'm the market manager currently for Fresh Empire. We sponsored the Social Death Tour in New York. We do tours throughout all the country. So when an artist is on stage and there's 10,000 people in the crowd and they say download instrumentally right now, you go in meet and greet passes with JD and Bow Wow, and you get $7,000 on spot. how do you feel like that we should implement instrumentally across the country at the concerts that we're involved with already?
First of all, I want to say that you guys do have something. I don't want y'all to think that. I think what I asked the question about the most about the whole site is probably the biggest question that I feel like y'all gonna run into because I can't see you was talking right. Okay, all right, no light. But initially you talked about it bringing in producers and writers because they can't afford stuff like that, so they get on this site, right? But at the same time, I think you have to let them know to understand the songwriting process because if you're a songwriter and you jump on here and you get your song on somebody's beat, immediately you already giving away 50% of your song, right? And if you don't know that, that's going to become a problem with writers, and it's going to scare some people away from even that happening. So I think that process is what has to be figured out the most because that's the first thing I heard, like, oh, shit, okay, if you put your verse on here and the song pop, because it's like the outlets is so different now, you know what I mean? Like, y'all have a song on y'all site, and that should be on V103 tomorrow, right? And it'll be popping, and then everybody will start wanting to get paid, and everybody will start looking, and then I don't know the producer because the producer's on the site, and it's like you don't know the person, so then you got a little problem with the person who even made the song. So without having somebody say, okay, well, I'm gonna take that beat away, we're gonna keep the song, we're gonna do the beat again, then that person, the producer's like, damn, I did, you know what I mean? It's just a back and forth thing with the publishing. That's the only thing I see that's wrong. I think y'all site is, I think y'all onto something definitely big, and it's gonna definitely pop.
Well, I mean,
y'all just gotta figure that part out.
In front of everybody, we gotta tell you that, out of anybody in the game, like, we could get to anybody, like 6 degrees of separation. We've been hustling for 10 years. We know everybody from top to bottom. You one of the moguls, like the young gentleman said over there, that identifies with not little kids, but the younger generation, something new. Yeah. Like, obviously, everybody that at these labels, they traditional, they look at numbers, they look at sales, they look at what you're doing in the shows, but you obviously see where we're going, and you respect it, so we would love to just, continue further in building this relationship for sure.
Well, no, he came up to me and said what he had to say in the beginning. I definitely want, after I do this, I want to get a meeting with you. That's what he said.
Thank you.
I remember that.
I mean, you only get one shot, so we taking a chance. Like, I flew in from New York, and I'm leaving at 6 in the morning. I came just for this.
That's what's up. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jermaine Dupri.
Thank you so much.
You grab a picture with me?
Yeah.
Before you head out? All right. Good. Come on.
They still sitting down like I'm about to do something.
All right.